Ladies and gentlemen, hope you're all doing well, and welcome to the Tides of Torment. Today we're going to be playing the forces of Slaanesh against Dob Plays and Grand Cathay, and we are coming in hard with a heavy-duty meme build, but one that might have a little bit of action against Grand Cathay. So, in case you guys didn't know, Slaanesh can bring basically a shade equivalent. They do have these devotees of Slaanesh with crossbows, they have 130 range, pretty good armor piercing, and they're okay melee fighters as well. So I was kind of thinking, everybody's going to be expecting Slaanesh to just bum rush you, right? So let's try something really weird. So we're going to bring a ranged army with Slaanesh. So we have triple devotees with crossbows, which are, in my opinion, are very overpriced. They're like 1,100 gold, but they look really, really cool. And then we do also have the Druki Anointed. So these guys are really fun. They're anti-large specialists. They got, oh man, this guy needs to get some sun. But he does have a couple bound spells. He has a bound Soul Stealer, a bound Hysterical Frenzy, and 2 charges of the Lash of Slaanesh. So I'm like, let's get in there and just start nuking the Cathay army with all these AoEs and these abilities. Chaos Warriors in the middle, Slangors on the outside, and we do have a Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh, who is going to be coming in with Shadow Magic, and he's going to be riding his Serpent, so he's a pretty fun character, and honestly a good fighter as well. And aside from that, what else do we have? Yeah, basically just playing Slaanesh as the Dark Elves. So we got triple Devotee, we do have the double Druki Anointed, and in the woods we have some Hellstriders as well as the new Pleasure Guard. Pleasure Guard are really fun. So these are basically the Wrathmongers for Slaanesh, although they're more of like a cavalry classification since they do count as a large unit. But they rip apart infantry. Like any infantry unit is going to get their bread buttered really bad. But they're not as tanky as Wrathmongers and don't have quite the staying power, but they shouldn't have that, right? The Arwar version of the Pleasure Guard is also unbreakable as well. So these guys are going to be staying wherever they go. Now for Dob, a pretty cool build. He's just got Crowmen, a defensive Zhangu War Drum box. So he's got Spearmen, Halberds, the Iron Dragon, and the Jade Drum to really drop it like it's hot. So I was sweating bullets a little bit actually because I was hoping he would just go straight like melee box with some monsters and I could shoot him to pieces. But he brought archers of his own, and the Peasant Archers are actually way better than the Dark Elf Archers, than the Slaanesh Archers, who do have a 130 range. So he's going to be able to punish me with that. But with some really scrappy play, maybe we'll be able to pull it out. We do see a couple Crowmen lurking, so the Crowmen do emerge in the shadows, and they're really good against Slaanesh. They do magic damage and can get the jump on Hellstriders and other pieces like that, so you got to watch out for it. The Druki Anointed, though, will be able to move in and start dropping some hot magic on them, and we'll do a little bit of fast-forwarding while the two armies do posture here. So we set up here, and now we're going to be moving in with our crossbows, but unfortunately his peasants just outrange us. So my game plan was to pull him back, and I wasn't worrying about the Crowmen too much for the devotees of Slaanesh because they do, of course, have really good melee stats. So I was like, maybe they'll be okay. So Pleasure Guard going to be moving in. Outside, we do get the Slangors getting charged by Jade Lancers, but here the Pleasure Guard really quick, able to move in. The Jade Lancers blinded by the creepiness, and even though they're anti-infantry, they can still rip apart Jade Lancers. You can see the Jade Lancers are starting to get it pretty bad, and now comes the magic. So the devotees of Slaanesh got into the back line and start using all sorts of goodies. So we use the Lashes, the Soul Stealers, and they're boinking that Cathay army reasonably well. I'm not unhappy with that at all. Melkot's here, and on the flank, the devotees of Slaanesh chase back the Jade Lancers. Now, by the way, these guys are like a 1,800, 2,000 gold unit, so of course they're going to defeat a Jade Lancer. But my archer line is not having a good time. His peasant archer is really doing work, but he did blob up in such a way that I was able to get a big soul stealer on these guys, and it ain't doing bad damage at all. Now let me make sure I didn't turn off the game audio. Are they shooting? Can you guys hear that? Yep, no, game audio is still there. I have a really bad habit of hitting the hotkey. Now, Dob has a really nice play in the backfield. He's able to get 2 Crowmen and jump my Hellstriders. I brought Hellscourges, but not able to get it done. So I do move the devotees of Slaanesh back here, and they do have dual weapon anti-infantry. So Dob knows this, and maybe is going to consider retreating here, and it looks like he does, as some Slangors coming back in to try and help. And up in the main line, Dob using the Iron Dragon to get a beautiful final transmutation here. And I respond by getting a Soul Stealer to try and heal through it. Chaos Warriors doing well, and we are doing some good damage against the army. The Chaos Sorcerer of Slaanesh moving back in, as are the Crossbowmen. So just trying to get the angles on him. And so far, value trading has honestly been relatively even. Another Lash of Slaanesh activated from the Druki Anointed, which are able to drop it like it's hot. And how are the Warriors looking? Yeah, 87 Warriors hanging in there. Armor checking Cathay is very good, honestly, because Cathay's like melee infantry capabilities are, not very killy. But the Pleasure Guard going to be moving in. I saw Weak Link. I mean, Peasants, yeah, they do have anti-large. But the Pleasure Guard, oh, they're so freaking cool. They're going to be spinning all up in this formation. Those Peasants get ripped to shreds. There's very few things I've seen that kill infantry as quickly as Pleasure Guard. Their bonus versus infantry, I think, is like 25 or something. Bit of Shades on the Peasant Archers back here. So my game plan is just to try and kill all of his Peasant Archers. But unfortunately, the Crowmen are really putting a wrench in things. I was really wishing I had like one good quality cav unit to deal with the Crowmen because they are just dominating my archers. And I'm taking big casualties there. So that's a big part of my win condition, is keeping the Devotees of Slaanesh online, but he has been able to really get good plays on those. Druchii Anointed fighting it out there. Lash activated on the Jade Warriors. Moving up are the Slangors, and I'm a little bit behind, but I also do have the objective, so that is another way I can potentially win the game here. The Devotees of Slaanesh getting hunted, but the Hellstriders do come back in and drag some of the Crowmen down to the ground. Tried to get these guys to bounce over and help out. And now the Chaos Sorcerer going to be going on his Anteater and moving and grooving. So on the backside, Devotees shooting into the Jade Lancers with their crossbows. They're basically like glorified Dark Shards that are a little bit better. They're like Shade, sort of, but a little bit less cost effective. And here comes the charge, and that is going to hurt. They're going to get sandwiched a little bit, but they do have 44 melee defense. So in their defense, they won't be the worst. Druchii Anointed going to be going over trying to help. Warriors still grinding it out. And in the backfield, the Pleasure Guard are just going to be bouncing about, trying to avoid the infantry, while the Iron Dragon does what he can to drag down my heroic units and my expensive units. Over here, we do finally get an okay fight. We managed to surround some of the Crowmen, and I think we do kill one unit. Spearmen do get back here as well, which is tricky. Hopefully the Devotees of Slaanesh will be able to hold. And up here, we do get folded as well. Granted, Jade Lancers do go down with them. But these plays have been very big, because in the late game, if I kill all his range and I have like healthy crossbow units, he could actually be in a bit of a precarious position. Chaos Warriors doing great. Honestly, a solid anchor in the middle. Slangors also very good. They're going to trade and beat pretty much any Cathay infantry, except probably the more expensive ones like the Celestial Dragon Guard and whatnot. So they're bumping and grinding, and so too is the Druchii Anointed. They've kind of blown their full loads right now, and do not have any more spells to cast. I've used the 2 lashes, and I don't think there's going to be any more witchcraft there. Looking around, Balance of Power does favor the Daub, but, you know, we are Slaanesh, and perhaps we can weasel out some plays here. Now the crossbows are back online. Still do have 53 of 80 models, and I'm hoping that those bad boys are going to be able to shoot effectively. We'll have to see. They're going to be ripping shots downtown into the Jade Warrior Halberds. Meanwhile, in the front, Chaos Warriors finally getting broken. The War Drum has been giving him a huge benefit. That huge stat line buff for all of his units nearby there. Man, just beautiful stuff. All right, in the back, Devotees of Slaanesh hanging out, and we do see the Jade Lancers coming in once again, and they're going to be getting nailed, I believe, by a Fascination, which is going to rampage them into the target they wanted to go into, but it does damage also. Anteater Man's coming. We do have the Pleasure Guard as well on their way over, and we get a big Pit of Shades right there. It was a good one. It hits the Halberds and also tickles the other one a little bit, but nailing that Jade Warrior Halberd there is very cost effective. Devotees online, and what will they be shooting at? Iron Dragon is going to be the toughest thing for us to kill in this comeback opportunity, but the crossbows are forming up and are mostly safe. One Crowman still lurking. The Empress's Crowmen have been a menace, so got to deal with those. But yeah, they're shooting freely, and if we can get them shooting to the Halberds, we maybe have a decent chance here. Is the bounce kind of creeping back to the middle a little bit right now, guys? Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Slaanesh, going to be bouncing around, and in the back we have our Druchii Anointed, who has returned. Looking at his value so far, 800 value, that's not bad. I paid 1,300 for them, though, because, you know, you get a lot. They bring a lot to the table, and they do have 80 armor, honestly. I think some matchups, maybe the Druchii Anointed could be good. Plus, they could be mounted on 2 mounts. You can mount them on cold ones, and you can also mount them on the Anteaters, the new Pleasure Seeker, not Pleasure Seeker, but whatever the hell these things are called. They're the Anteater ones. Yes, the snakes. They can ride the snakes. All right, Devotees shooting. Dav going to be forming a box. And he does still have the Iron Dragon in the back pocket. Here we do see Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma going down to the Peasant Archers, knowing I need to take those guys offline in order to allow my crossbows to really feast. We still have the healthy Slaanesh Lord, about 5,000 HP, and good armor-piercing attacks as well, so you can use him to pretty good effect on his Anteater. And unfortunately, the Empress's Crowmen going to be descending on me once again, and I do move the Anteater over with his 100 speed. I can see how playing Slaanesh is addictive, man. Having the agency and speed advantage is so big, and now they have range units too. Granted, I don't think they're going to be terribly good, but I think there might be some matchups in which you could surprise people with Devotees of Slaanesh, where they're like expecting mass, you know, typical Slaanesh stuff, and you pop it like it's hot. So that's going to be a final transmutation. Going to be really, really nice. Also, the Pleasure Guard, I think they have Mark of Slaanesh, Unyielding Assault, so very similar to Wrathmongers in that way. Armor-piercing shots coming in from the Devotees, who have 800 value on this one, and these bad boys probably not great value considering they've been getting pounded non-stop. Good final transmutation, though. It hits my Devotees of Slaanesh, and also does hit the Pleasure Guard. And now we're moving in, just trying to pick off whatever we can on the wings of the battlefield, as Dav does form up on the objective. He's actually kind of close to losing on the objective there, but it rarely happens. You know, when you put it at 600 points, which I think is the standard for most people who play Conquest mode, I don't think that happens terribly often. Granted, it can. Devotees shooting in, you know, doing some work against the Halberds, but the Iron Dragon has arrived. So the Menace is here, and we're going to be forming up where we can with our Pleasure Guard as well as our Druchii Anointed, seeing if we can get in there and maybe boink some of these Jade Warriors who are doing very well. I mean, they've not a lot of value. I mean, yeah, 5 value on them, but they're holding. And with the drum, they can sit on this objective all frickin' day and just really, really enjoy themselves. Iron Dragon tearing these bad boys up. Hellstriders running down some Peasant Long Spearmen. And now we're finally going to get those damn Crowmen. And the Crowmen have really been the bane of my game. If I'd been able to deal with the Crowmen early and keep my crossbows at full health, I think we'd be in an okay position now. We still would run into the issue of dealing with the Iron Dragon. Like, I don't have anything that is exceptionally good at dealing with Iron Dragon in this particular, meme build we've had here. Moving on in is the Anointed. He's got his big cool blade and does take down a couple of Jade Warriors there. As the Slangors do rally and get a nice little flank on these Warriors. We'll see if they can take anything down. And the Pleasure Guard. Pleasure Guard do have a bonus versus infantry of 25. So they're going to be ripping it up. But the Dragon Emperor does get disdainful and pushes my boys back. And now we got to deal with that damn Iron Dragon. He's so hot right now. It's going to be tough. We do have 2 Anointed, which are anti-large specialists. But you have to remember, he does have the Burning Vambraces. So the Iron Dragon is going to be able to get a huge heal and just be absolutely jacked here. As one of the Anointed does get boinked on the head, I think. Yeah, now we just have the Pleasure Guard. Another Pit of Shades is active. Crossbow shooting in from the devotees of Slaanesh. That Pit of Shade's going to be really good. Thankfully, he didn't react super quickly to it, and it does rip up 2 of those halberd units, so those guys do get it. And the bounce power creeps back a little bit, right? I kept getting teased by this bounce of power. I was like, is there a way I can actually weasel this game back using the Pleasure Guard? But realistically, I don't think so. Taking down the Iron Dragon, even though it's like kind of looks like it's possible here, when he gets that heal off, it's going to be tricky. So Halberd's getting broken up, but the Iron Dragon is going to be moving in here. Pleasure Guard also piling in, but the Pleasure Guard only have 4 models left. It's going to be a little bit too hard. Crossbow's still firing, and it looks like they are all done firing. Having gotten about 1,000 value, they cost 1,100. So definitely could pay them for themselves in the Cathay matchup if you have more of a focus on dealing with the Crowmen and also the enemy peasant. Although we did deal with the peasants okay with the Druchii Anointed, but yeah, having a wider army would have been incredibly helpful. But the Anointed did cost 1,300 apiece. Cav coming in, we do manage to break these halberds, and my goal was just to break them and run them down with the Hellstriders over here. The Giga Chad Anointed trying to fight, and he's currently sitting at 700 value, give or take, between his spells. The Anteater Cav Man going to be charging into the back of the Iron Dragon, and ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much going to be the end of the road. As the game does come to a head, the Iron Dragon basically just bullies me and chases me around, and it was a really fun match. I mean, I just wanted to kind of see what it would be like to play Slaanesh with Dark Elf units, and yeah, I think look, here's the thing. If you wanted this build to actually not be just absolute trash, it's just a meme build. But if you were to cut the Druchii Anointed and maybe keep the Archers, and then you bring like a more normal army, like 2,600 gold worth of actual units, maybe? We did see decent value out of the Pleasure Seekers. Nothing too crazy. But yeah, really, really fun, man. Dov had an awesome drum build too. Super Chad play from him. But Pit of Shades were good. The Anointed, I think, are just too expensive to be useful and competitive. But they do have a Bound Soul Stealer. Maybe they have a place in Lash of Slaanesh as well, and they have a Bound Hysterical Frenzy. So maybe having one of these with like an elite Slaanesh like hard-hitting unit, like a Seeker or something like that with Hysterical Frenzy could be a really cool combo. So a lot to be explored, man. Yeah, it's also fun playing a faction that's like in a way that's totally not how they're intended to be played with like frickin' crossbows. It's cool. All right, guys, GG well played. Make sure to check out Dov's channel if you haven't, and that is going to be it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen.